Hello everybody, we're back again with another video. Hope you're doing well. Hope your life's going well. Hope this week has gone well for you, and I hope that today has gone well for you. Today is Monday, November the 11th, 2024. It is about 6:45 a.m. Central Standard Time, and I hope that you all have had a wonderful weekend. I hope that it was fun and productive for you. It is now Monday. It's time to get back to work, time to make that money. You'll make it through this week. You made it through all the other previous Mondays. What makes you think you can't make it through this Monday? I promise you will. So, what I want to talk about in this video is the fact that you cannot control what other people do. Therefore, you cannot control most of what happens in this world. I'm going to say that again. You can't control what other people do. Therefore, you really cannot control most of what happens in this world, right? Most of what happens in this world is outside of your individual control, right? Now, things can happen, changes can happen if everyone got together with the same mentality. But you as an individual, the only thing you can do is actually hope that everyone else has the same mentality as you. And that's just not simply the case most of the time, right? Now, good and bad things happen in this world. And you just don't really have the power to change that fact. Good things are going to happen in this world. Bad things are going to happen in this world. Reason why good and bad happens in this world is because there's good people and then there's bad people. There's good people that do things to help others, right? And then there's bad people that commit crime and cause problems in other people's lives, right? And that's just a fact that's not going to change. Every single human being is not going to be a good human being, right? And that's just what it is. Now, you yourself, you can control what you do, say, and think. And you can try to convince someone that, say, is doing something bad, such as committing crime. You can try to convince them and influence them to stop, but ultimately they have to be the ones that want to stop doing bad things. If they don't want to stop doing bad things, it doesn't matter what you tell them. Your influence is not going to work, right? Say you're setting a good example. It won't matter to somebody whose mentality is bad and they want to do bad things, right? They probably see you and think like, you want to do good? What's wrong with you, right? Their mentality is completely messed up, right? So no matter what influence you have over that person, if they're a bad person, they're just going to keep doing bad things, right? Unless something in their mind sparks a change in their mentality. Once the mentality changes, then they'll change as a person, right? The most you can really do is try to influence people, right? Get them to see things from a different perspective. But if they don't want to see that, then it is what it is. It's not going to work. That's why I say you don't have a lot of control over what happens in the world, because you don't have a lot of control over people as a whole in general in the world, right? And so, for example, right, say these different wars that are happening around the world. You as an individual will say, well, I don't support any war, right? and you don't want any war to happen, but there's other human beings that start the wars and want a war to happen, right? For whatever reason. It doesn't matter if you write a letter to that person in power and let them know that it's not okay to start a war and how bad it is to start a war and how innocent people will be affected. They're not going to care what you think. They're not going to care that you're trying to influence them to stop the war. They're just going to keep going. Right? Unless they want to stop that war, that person in power wants to stop that war, it's just going to keep happening. Right? Unless they get defeated, of course, by whoever they're in the war going against. Right? That's something you have to think about. You cannot control the people, therefore you don't have a lot of control over what happens in the world. But you can control your mentality. You can't control what you do, say, or think. You yourself can control whether you're successful in the world or not. And ultimately, it is up to you whether you are successful in the world, right? You have to do the work that it takes to be successful in the world, right? Because that's what you have control over. You can't control whether other people are going to be successful. They have to have the mentality of success just like you. You can try to convince them that, hey, this is the right way to be successful in the world. Right? But if they don't want to be successful, right? They don't want to level up in life, advance their way of thinking, right? Advance their skill set, etc. Then they're just not going to do it. Right? Another example. You say somebody wants to, say somebody decides that they want to break up with their spouse, significant other. You can tell them, hey, y'all are such a good couple. You should talk to them and work it out. And they respond and tell you, no, I don't care. I don't care. I just want to leave them, etc., etc. Well, they're going to leave them. You can't control that situation. You can provide your input. You can try to convince them that, hey, you should probably stay and think about this deeper. But if they don't want to do it, they don't want to do it, right? That's just what it is. They have to do what they are going to do what they want to do. That's just all it is to it. I think that we're led to believe that we have more power and influence over what happens in this society. Say, for example, voting, right? You yourself don't really have a lot of power over who gets elected, but people as a big collective do. You have to hope that enough people have the same mentality as you, and enough people go out and vote for the candidate that you want to win. You have to try to convince them, influence them that, hey, this is the right candidate, etc., etc. But ultimately, it's going to be up to them, right? And they're going to analyze different sources, including yours, and come up with their own decision. Now, that might lead to the candidate you want to win winning. Or if there's not enough people that have the same mentality as you, the candidate is going to lose, right? So as a collective, people can do things, but you just as an individual person, you can't do it alone, right? And you can't make people do things. You can't control what they do. You can try to influence them, but you cannot control what they do, right? And that's where not being able to control most of what happens in the world comes from, right? And then even when that politician gets into power, how do you know that they're not going to just do what they want to do and not follow through with their campaign promises, right? What can you do once they're in office and they're just kind of spending your tax dollars however they want to spend them? What can you do? You can't control it. You see what I'm saying? This is why I'm saying you don't have as much control over what happens in the world as you think, but you do have control over your own life, right? You have control over that. You have the power to do things, say things, think things that are going to propel you towards success in life. You yourself. That's why you have to work on yourself. You do have to focus on yourself, right? There's nothing wrong with helping other people. You can help other people and do selfless acts. But at the end of the day, as far as trying to control other people's actions or thoughts or feelings or whatever, right? And that's another thing. You cannot control how other people feel about you. Some people are going to feel good about you when they think of you. Some people are going to feel bad, right? If you hurt someone's feelings, you can't control whether you hurt someone's feelings or not. That's a reaction they had to something that maybe you said. Now, I mean, there are people that will purposely try and hurt people's feelings. And I mean, that's a bit different, but I'm just talking, if you're just kind of talking and you say something and something that you said hurt somebody's feelings, you can't control that. And that's something that's happening outside of you, right? Can't control what other people do, say, or think. It's just what it is. You just don't have the control that you think. The thing about it is, famine, right? Another thing we cannot control. Unfortunately, we can make efforts to help that situation, but you as an individual, you can't control that, unfortunately. Homelessness, you can't control that as an individual, right? War, crime, you can't control these things as an individual. Now, you can come together as a collective, and a bunch of you all have to have the same mentality. You have to be on board with wanting to help to solve this problem, and things can get done. But I'm just talking about you yourself. By yourself, you can't do it by yourself. You have to hope other people have the same mentality as you, but you can't control other people's mentality. If they all decide that they want to stop doing it all of a sudden, you can't control that, right? Say you're helping somebody, you and a group of people are helping somebody, and half the people decide, they have better things to do, and they walk off. You can't control them. You can't make them come back. You can only do your part and do the best you can, right? And that's why You shouldn't be like super upset over what other people do, to the point where it's like affecting your daily life. Now, there are things that people do that are gonna make you mad, angry, upset, etc. But you should not let it get you to the point where it's affecting your daily life. You're gonna have to keep going regardless of what other people do. You're gonna have to strive for success regardless of what other people do, right? Unfortunately, that's just how it is. So yeah, that's just what it is. That's kind of the message I just wanted to bring to you all today, because many people, right, we believe that we have all of this, us as individuals, we have all of this control, all this influence as an individual person. As a collective, yes, but as an individual, not really. You as an individual don't have a lot of control over what's going on in the world. We can convince ourselves that we do. But is that reality? Is that a fact? Right? When we put it to the test, it's just not the case. I want a lot of things to change in this world as an individual, and I see a way of running this country totally different than how other people are running it. But does that matter? No, because I don't have the power to do that, right? And many people may not want me to have that power, because I got to get elected by the people, right? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Most you can do is influence, try to convince people. You cannot control what they do. If they don't want it, then there's nothing you can do, right? And yeah. Anyway, I do hope that you were relaxed by this video, and I hope I did inspire thought today. Thank you for watching.